I'm pretty sure most of you know that Amazon is creating a Lord of the Rings TV show, and I have to say I'm not very excited about it. I don't think American companies got what it takes in order to create interesting works of art anymore. Maybe in the future, but if I want entertainment, I go to Japan. Anime is still great. South Korea makes some interesting movies, like The Kingdom is a great TV show, Train to Busan. I have given up hopes when it comes to the United States to making any type of entertainment. And this is why. I mean, this is literally why. You have people that are talentless in positions of power making movies for themselves. They're not making movies for the public. They're very outspoken about it. They're making movies in order to get rewards that are given away by like-minded people. So you have Lord of the Rings, right? And all of a sudden you have like a lot of articles talking about LGBT representation in Lord of the Rings. Like, who on earth cares? If it's there and it makes sense with the story, if it somehow actually connects to the main plot, beautiful. If not, I don't care. It's pandering is what it is. The original Lord of the Rings, if you like it, and if you don't like it, why even make an IP based on it, didn't have any LGBT representation. All right, it didn't, and yet it was incredibly popular, very popular, to the point where even I from Romania heard about it. Without the movie Lord of the Rings, I would have never even heard about the book. So that's one thing. Second thing, now they're arguing for diversity, right? Like they want more and more diversity into Lord of the Rings. There's a slew of articles attacking it with all the leeches and the parasites who want a piece of the money. They want a little bit of that sweet, sweet cash. And they see this as a good opportunity in order to threaten the creator and basically say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you hire me so I don't call you a racist? Literally that. The original Lord of the Rings didn't have races. It had fantasy races like orcs and goblins and elves and dwarves. And I guess that's what made it stand apart. Now, they do have certain races, as in skin color humans. You have, I suppose, black people that are allied with Sauron, and I think like the pirates might be of a different race, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, this book was written by Tolkien in a very different time, when we didn't have the Schengen area, where most people didn't travel away from the places they lived unless they were captured as slaves, or you had like very, very few people that were merchant and traders, or maybe you had an empire that, let's say, took over a country, like the Russian Empire, took over Bessarabia and then moved a lot of Bessarabians from there into Siberia and moved a lot of Russians in there. The Ottoman Empire did the same, like they would conquer a place and then they would bring Tatars to settle there. That's the way it used to happen in the past. You didn't have airplanes. People didn't just move on and like try to emigrate to another place. Very rarely did it happen. Okay, maybe like in the United States. But mostly, seeing people of different ethnicities in one place, it was incredibly rare. And you can see it in Lord of the Rings as well. I mean, even though they have all the characters white, as I mentioned before, you still have dwarves, you still have Trents, you still have like all these fantasy creatures. And the dwarves are in the mines, the elves are in the forest, and you have the Riders of Rohan in one point, and the people at Minas Tirith in another place. You don't really get to see a lot of elves in Minas Tirith. You don't really get to see a lot of dwarves in the Elvish forests. That is the mentality of that world, and you would break the immersion if things were different, without finding a good explanation for why they're different. I mean, when I read the books, there were plenty of cases where people were wondering, like, why is an elf traveling with a dwarf traveling with a hobbit? So when I read the books and I see people being bewildered by that, then I would see a movie where it's incredibly diverse, I would be like, hey, hold on a little bit. Like, we're in, But when you look at the complaint, you kind of notice why the complaint exists in the first place. It's like a shakedown. It's a implied racket. You get the actor, and this is how the GameSpot article talks about him, as the actor who plays Liu Kang. I mean, that phrase should tell you a lot about the actor's talent. Let's look at great actors, okay? Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you guys remember the names of the characters they used to play? Or is it that you remember the actor's name? That's what a good actor is like. You remember his name. But when it's a mediocre actor, it's like, okay, the actor who plays Liu Kang. That's how they refer to him. That's how much of an impact he happened to make on the fans, that you actually need to name the character. And it's very hilarious. Like, he's complaining, and he's like, it's going to be difficult to build a huge world without any characters that look Asian. What? Like, first of all, I don't even know if there's actual Asian peoples in the Middle Earth. I mean, maybe there are, but all I know is that from reading the books, which already managed to create a massive world, you do have some black people over there, which happens to live, I believe, south of Mordor. So there's that. But other than that, like, the world doesn't say anything else. And it's still a huge world. You know, like, there's an entire continent that you're curious to explore, like where the elves go when they leave the Middle Earth. It's a massive world, but like, just because you don't have you don't have the ethnicities and the races that exist in real life in this fantasy universe doesn't mean that it's not a big world. And he then goes on, it's like, it's difficult to build a world without any Asian characters. Turn that image on us. It's not hardware right here. In other words, hire me, right? This is literally what he is saying. Like, it's a $465 million project. Why am I not getting any cash? Why am I... Do you not know that on my resume it writes Asian? I worked really hard to become an Asian. Like, I dedicated my entire life to working to this goal of becoming an Asian. Why are you not hiring me? Why is there $465 million floating around and none of them go into my pocket? You know, like, this is what annoys me, because now, instead of like criticizing this movie from the perspective of what would it make a great Lord of the Rings story, all the criticism is like how to make a diverse movie. And by the way, diversity doesn't sell, but at the same time doesn't lower the quality either. It's just like something that is, like, from what I speak with on the forums, most people are meh about it, and you can definitely prove it, because you still have people that like Black Panther, even though that movie was not diverse at all. Like, I know for them, like, diversity is like, if you show them an image with only black people, they find it to be diverse, but in reality it wasn't. Okay, Train to Busan, as I mentioned before, is very famous, even though it has low diversity. When I grew up with a lot of Chinese kung fu movies with ninjas and stuff. No white people in there. I don't care. You know, all I care about is, like, is it a good story? Is it interesting? Is it captivating? Are the characters interesting? We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about any of the actual things that makes Lord of the Rings Lord of the Rings. We're just going to talk about things Californians in power like. You know, like the people at Hollywood, what they're interested in. And is it progressive or not? And sorry, but like, this is not going to convince me to watch the show. And it's the same thing which put me off from watching Mortal Kombat. To this day, I haven't watched Mortal Kombat. I didn't even pirate it. Why would I watch it? The director says that they didn't want to cast Johnny Cage because he couldn't view a white person as a hero. Literally it. That's exactly word for word what he said. Before knowing that, I would have watched it. Now, I'm not going to watch it. Why would I watch it if he's such a raging bigot, right? How could I inflict my money upon him? Sure, I'm not giving money, you know, but you still pay for the Netflix account, and then some of that cash might go to him. You still might watch a commercial if it ever comes on the TV. I don't want that, you know. Don't wanna infuse him with my racist cash so he can't sleep at night. And then I also find out that they make Melina black. There's no reason for that. Like, there are black characters in Mortal Kombat. You already have Jax. You have his daughter, Jackie. You could have added an entirely new character. I mean, the movie would take place in the United States, right? You could have another black character that joins and takes a crack at the tournament. Why did they make Melina black? No reason whatsoever. It's just like so bizarre to just race swap characters. And of course now it affects the lore. Because Melina is supposed to be Kitana's twin sister. So if Melina is black, then that means Kitana is black. Like, why do you have to do these things? Why do you have to confuse the viewer? Like, there might be a lot of fans of Melina and Kitana, and they expect that what they see in the game is similar to what they see on the big screen. You might think that this has to do with racism, but I'm pretty sure if you were to make Jax white, people would complain. Or if you were to make Jax a white woman, people would complain. Makes absolutely no sense. Usually people who are passionate about a video game or about any sort of entertainment, they freak out even if you change a costume. Even if you change like the colors of the costume of a character, they freak out. Like, for example, if the Green Lantern would start throwing around red energy, people would freak out. You know, they wouldn't like that. So why would you do this? You know, if Batman would start using guns and start shooting people without a good explanation as to why, a lot of fans would complain. So why do you change things just to spite the audience? Because that's why they're doing it, to spite the audience. So why would I give them money? Just to get spited. Makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, I'm already skeptical about Amazon. Like, I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to wait for some of the reviews. And if I see that it actually has potential and it's actually interesting, like, for example, The Mandalorian was, then I'm going to probably make an Amazon account or something if it's really that great. If not, meh. You know, it's just entertainment. I don't need it for my life. It's more important to focus on putting food on the table. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section.